What's up, listeners and supporters of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast? We need some help from you, and it won't take up too much of your time. As we grow, we always want to hear your feedback, so take a minute or two to fill out a short anonymous survey. The survey link is right in the episode notes for this podcast. It's easy and takes less than 5 minutes. As always, we thank you for your continued support.
Hey, I'm Michelle Yu. You're watching the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
From the Gotham Podcast Studio, episode 47 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, Bryan Fonseca Dexter Henry here. It's been a while since we, just the two of us sat together and just talked.
Yeah.
We talk. We always talk. But,
well, that's true.
But
there are some conversations that we have that should be on the podcast that probably can't.
Yeah, they can't be on the podcast for a variety of reasons. But what's been going on with you, man?
What's been going on with you, Hurricane man over here? I'm gonna start calling you Gregory Helms. I wish you got that reference, but you didn't.
I did not. I do not get that reference.
Gregory Helms is a, I guess now former professional wrestler who was called the Hurricane.
Of course, this came back to wrestling.
You don't remember the Hurricane?
No.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through. You don't remember that? From 2001 to 2005-ish?
Sounds bad, but the way you said that made it sound like he was black.
Nah, he was white.
Oh,
he was
okay.
white.
I'm 0 for 2 in that department if you've been watching the podcast.
Yeah. Captain Munderland was the other one.
Yeah, totally messed that one up.
Eddie was a corner. But I would understand actually, no. How you guessed that the cornerback was a white dude and the wrestler?
Yeah, Hurricane. Maybe I'm almost thinking about like the Hurricane the Boxer. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah,
with Denzel Washington?
Okay. Yeah. Damn, that's a reference that I didn't do.
Okay, so yeah, I gave a reference that you didn't catch, and you gave a reference I didn't catch.
Gregory Helms he was the Hurricane. I don't know if so. Did you watch wrestling in 2003?
No, I definitely was out of watching wrestling in 2003.
So I remember The Rock. This is when he came back and was bald and was brolic, and he was the Hollywood Rock. He was like a heel character because he was doing movies and he wasn't full-time wrestling anymore.
Right.
So when he came back, he was in a little feud with the Hurricane because, The Rock is The Rock and the Hurricane is some ridiculous character or whatever. And The Rock, being the gentleman that he is, he sold to him. The Hurricane beat him once or twice, eliminated him in a battle royal and all this stuff. And, yeah, that was sort of like the peak Hurricane character. So
yeah, that's why I don't care for wrestling. But I was literally in a hurricane. I literally was in a hurricane. And I will say this before I get into more about this, because I know you have questions about this and all. Probably one of the craziest things I've ever seen and experienced
the hurricane
in my life.
Yes. I don't know if everyone is gonna process like, dog, you were in a hurricane.
Like I was outside in a hurricane.
Not like when what was the hurricane we had in 2012? Sandy? Not like Sandy.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Sandy, I was chilling. I had like a couple glasses of wine and I was chilling, with family. We were just riding it out. Like, that's not even...
A tree fell on my block, but, I heard it, and I didn't have power for a few days, but I was fine.
For people in New York and other people, Sandy was obviously bad for New York and what it did.
Well, it's bad if you live by the L train.
Right, or if you lived anywhere by water, which I did at the time in South Brooklyn, and I had an apartment that was completely destroyed.
I think Long Island got the worst of it, too.
But yeah, some of the Rockaways, some places like that. Those were very high winds, very intense. If you think... What I've taken from this now is if anybody goes outside and says, yo, it's mad windy, I'll be like, yo, shut up. You ain't seen wind?
That's what you told me.
You ain't seen wind?
You were in winds that were, you said...
Close to 150 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Now, for people who are listening or watching, what they're thinking is, Dex, how were you outside there in winds that high? And I want to explain and say this, and I said this to you when I talked to you about it. Where I was as safe as you could be. I was extremely safe. One of the safest places you can be during a hurricane is in a reinforced concrete garage. Okay. I was in a reinforced concrete garage on the 8th floor of the garage. Being higher is actually better for you. We were there with the team I was with. We were trying to shoot some video. We were trying to shoot some live shots. It didn't. I had actually tweeted out some video and I didn't even get to tweet out the rest of it, which I lost my phone, and that's a whole nother story that we'll
work
get to.
phone.
It's like work phone, my work
yes,
phone.
Yes.
I now have that back.
That was fast.
Yeah, they had to send it to me pretty quickly. I was like, yo, work phone's out. They sent it to me. I had it on, I think, Monday. I got my new phone.
Oh, all right. Shout out to AccuWeather.
So we're in this garage. I'd been up with the storm from early in the morning. So I'd seen the rain coming, the wind picking up. I was out there. There's even another video that many people probably saw I put on Instagram, and I also put on Twitter and out there where you see me out in the rain, and you can see the storm surge was behind me because I was right near a beach.
With the black coat?
With the black coat.
Yeah.
The rain was so crazy. I know people could barely hear me. The rain was really ripping. The winds were crazy. The winds were picking up. When I probably did that video, the winds were probably about 30, 40 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Within an hour, that was about 60. I was then shooting another live shot with another reporter I work with, Jonathan Petramala, and we were on this dock, and the wind was blowing me. I had to prop myself up against the dock with a camera. I felt like I was going to get blown over.
You're 6'2",
6'2", 190 pounds.
Yeah,
guy.
You're not a small dude.
And these 60 mile per hour winds, which I'm telling you now, 60 mile per hour winds is nothing. I'll eat those. It's nothing.
60? 60.
60 is nothing. After what I saw and felt.
When we get 15, 20 in New Yorkers flip out.
Nah, I don't want to see anybody complain about 15 mile per hour winds. 15 mile per hour winds ain't nothing.
We got 15 mile an hour. We got 15 mile an hour winds today.
Yeah, and I was like, "Woo, nice breeze. It's cool. It's all good." But the winds just intensified, so we had to get to this garage because one of these storm chasers I was with, this guy Brandon Clement, who's incredible storm chaser, had the radar on his car, knows where it's going. He was like, "Look, we are right in this. We were in the eye wall of the storm." Not the eye of the storm, which is like literally the most dangerous place you could be, but the eye wall, which is basically surrounding the eye of the storm. Okay. It hit there where I was in Panama City Beach. Now, for those who've been watching, you saw there were much more extensive damage in Panama City, which was further to the east, and Mexico Beach, which is where a lot of people have seen the images the worst, where it looks like, basically, I hate to say, like a bomb went off. But anyway, we're there in the garage, and this is the part of the story I'm going to tell that some people find funny and some people might find a little bit sad. The wind is now intensifying. I put some video out on Instagram. You could see how bad the wind was down in the streets. I was watching roofs off of homes come off. I'm seeing pieces of debris just flying. It's the craziest thing I see. Now this wind is probably about 80 miles, 90 miles per hour. The two other people who were in my crew.
I can't imagine.
This garage was in a condo building. It was attached. There was a little walkway that was probably about 15 feet that took you from the garage to where you could get into the condo building on the 8th floor where the ledges are on the balcony.
Yeah.
So my two coworkers are standing there on this ledge in the balcony. But I decided to go join them. I was shooting some video holding a selfie stick. I only use the selfie stick for AccuWeather to shoot video to keep it steady. I do not use the selfie stick any other time. I'm actually generally not a fan of the selfie stick.
Right.
But I have the selfie stick, and so I decided to walk across the bridge. As I go across the bridge, the little bridge, like I said, it's about 15 feet.
Yeah.
And the rain is coming, the wind is coming.
Yeah.
I got caught in a wind tunnel. And I got caught in a wind tunnel of wind that was probably close to 100 miles per hour. And I told you this already. This wind pushed me and put me on my ass.
6'2", 185.
The wind pushed me forward I went forward maybe about 1.5 to 2 feet. And because it was wet on the ground I was walking on, I slipped.
And fell.
Slipped and fell.
If that were me, I'd probably be in the air.
Maybe.
I probably would have wound up in Atlanta.
Now, it could have been there was a railing there, so I'm glad the wind didn't push me hard enough so I went into the railing or like had my ribs get hurt from being in the railing or something like that. I fell, but here's the crazier part. The selfie stick that I'm holding in this left hand.
Hi, Astrid.
Astrid
who just walked into the studio.
Hello, Astrid.
Come on, we need your pictures. Let's go.
Stop, you don't have to rush her. You should hope he gets blown off by a hurricane. The selfie stick I'm holding as I fell down, the wind took it out of my hand. I saw my phone and the selfie stick fly over the railing. Gone. Yeah. That's my work phone. Gone. Yeah. My other personal phone was not on me. It was back in the car, so I could not communicate to anybody. I had to crawl to this corner space between these two walls, which was a good place to be because I was extremely protected from the wind. But now I'm watching the wind off to my side. I'm watching this wind pick up. And then what what I say to you. That was the angriest thing I ever heard. I never heard wind so angry. It sounded like, it sounds like a train coming by. I never heard wind so angry. It looked angry. I could see it was going so fast and so much debris was going past me to the side. I could see like everything coming off. I saw street signs going down the street. Like it was nothing. I saw trees
just break in front of you.
Break in front of me.
Oh my God.
Down the street. It was insane. So you're probably wondering, hey, well, what did you do? Did you try to go back across the bridge to get to your car? No. That would have been dangerous.
You hid out, right?
I had to sit where I was on this balcony in this corner between these two walls, watch these 150-mile-per-hour winds for about an hour and 10 minutes before it was safe enough for me to go back to the car. I had to literally watch the storm pass.
And what were you wearing? Did you have the black coat at
I
this time also?
had a black raincoat with like rain pants on, was covering my real pants so it wouldn't get soaked and wet.
Yeah.
And I had some black Timbs on, protecting my feet.
Okay.
Even though some of my coworkers, they told with the water, you want to walk around in flip flops. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
That's some
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Now, did my feet still get wet? Yeah, but I'd rather be in some boots than be in some flip flops.
I'm glad we know what I was about to.
I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. But I was still soaked because I'd been in the rain all day. I was soaked. It was crazy. It was a crazy experience. But I
don't even wear flip flops in my house.
My heart, neither do I. My heart goes out to the people who lost so much there. Who there's a lot of devastation. And now I found out I'll be headed back there. So yeah, I'll be back there, do some more stories with my coworkers. So it was a crazy experience. I think the toughest part of it was losing power that day, having limited resources to food, and limited cell service, so I wasn't really able to get in touch with family and friends. There were so that was the toughest part, and then working all day, energy was drained. So,
and yeah, you don't have anything to eat really.
Nah, I didn't eat a proper meal for about 4 days. When I did eat that meal, I was at a Outback Steak. Oh man, I went in.
It was at an actual hotel, right?
No, I went.
No. I'm saying like you got to stay at an actual hotel and get food.
Yeah, because we went to Pensacola.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd flown out of, and actually had food. And just slept in a decent bed.
What were you eating during those 4 days? I think people should know that.
Pretzels.
Yeah.
Granola bars.
Yeah.
Basically, do I sound disgusted enough by that?
A little bit, but it's like
it's
basically the stuff that you eat when, like, all right, say you're working at a table for like a game and you're doing like shot clock or whatever or something like that.
Even that's better.
Like you're doing that, and that's basically the stuff that you're eating during those games, where it's like a marathon of games over and over and over again.
Right, but when you have to eat this and you're trying to sustain, like the best thing I had, the best thing I
had. Where are you getting protein from?
Yo, so the first day. I actually, before like when the power had just gone out, I had like a nice turkey and cheese sandwich. So that was like one of the best things I had. And then I think one of the next to last days, I had some Chef Boyardee ravioli. Now, realizing after having the Chef Boyardee ravioli, which I had not eaten in years, I realized how crappy that was and why I should never put that in my body again.
Oh boy, I used to go in on the Chef Boyardee though.
Yeah, but yeah. So when I actually had a real meal. Man, it felt so good.
How did you eat the Chef Boyardee? I feel like people should know that also.
Yo, right out the can.
Right out the can.
Straight
cold.
Out the can. Cold.
Gutter style.
There's no way to heat it up. Like, I ate it right out the can. I had the fork.
No microwave. We out here.
No microwave.
Straight
by
beef.
Myself. Straight beef and pasta in the can.
From the can.
Yeah. And you know, I did that. I had a Ashley just said, did I have some bread on the side? I had a couple pieces of bread because I had to get some more carbs.
Give me
some energy.
Got you.
And I had I washed it down with a nice lemon lime Gatorade.
Let's name this episode Straight Beef.
Pusha T and Drake kind of came back into the news because Drake made an appearance on LeBron James' Shop, which I finally got to watch. I think the day I got back from Florida back into New York, I finally watched The Shop. I had never watched the first episode, so I got to watch that episode, and I really do actually like the show. I find it quite interesting.
I wish did you see the first episode?
Yes, I watched it too.
I think I kind of have the same issue with it. Excuse me, that I had with Joe Budden's The Pull-Up series when it started, which has since been cleaned up, for lack of a better way of saying it. I feel like they're gonna go through the same thing where the first Pull-Up, it was a bunch of people and it was too much like going on or whatever, and I feel like in The Shop, there you have, Jared Carmichael, Jon Stewart, Vince Staples in the first episode, Candace Parker was there.
There's too many people in the episode for sure.
But Draymond Green, and it's like I want to hear from all of these people but I'm not gonna hear from them more than maybe 3 or 4 times within the span of a 25 to 30-minute episode. So I would kind of prefer that it
Keep it a little tighter.
Maybe toned
like,
down a little bit.
I think one of the things that bothered me in that first episode was I remember Michael Bennett was there, and I was like, oh man, I really want to hear Michael Bennett.
Barely heard from him.
Now they put him in at the end, because I remember at some point I was like, did Michael Bennett say anything? Because like I didn't see him say anything.
Yeah.
And then he finally did. So I feel like I have the same criticism as you. I love the idea of the show. I love I was kind of like even more of a safe space for minorities to talk about certain issues. And I thought even Jon Stewart being in the first episode was dope, because Jon Stewart's somebody who actually gets it. And I met Jon Stewart on a story doing stuff when I was working for News 12. Very nice guy. He actually, I think, gets...
Also a wrestling fan.
Next time I see Jon Stewart, I'll talk to him about that. But no, I'm with you. I felt like in the second episode, because it was a little tighter what they had with the people, you got more out of the people that were there.
Okay, yeah.
They should. I think that's something they could look to. Too many people sometimes it's like it's overdone.
I think that's what they're gonna do though. They're just gonna continue to adjust to it. Like going back to the pull up, they had all those people in, and then after a while, it's since become pretty much a one-on-one sort of interview series. For lack of a better word. I mean, he had Vince Staples individually, T-Pain individually. Like I feel like with LeBron, and there's a reason they had Drake, at the end of the second episode all to himself. They just wanted to sort of hear from Drake.
And I thought that was cool. I liked that they did that. I think breaking it up and having people come and go like you would in a barbershop is actually good. But also, too many people can kill the conversation, and or you might want to hear from people and be like, "Hey, I'm not hearing from this." I thought in the second episode, was it like Elena Delle Donne was the women's basketball player was there, and I thought she had some cool stuff to say.
She only said like 1 or 2 things,
right? But I think I'd like to hear more from some of the women out of there. I thought Candace Parker had great stuff to say in the first episode.
Yeah, I agree, but I wanted to hear. These are the people that I really wanted to hear more from the first episode. I didn't hear actually most of them, like Michael Bennett you mentioned. Vince Staples, I want to hear from Vince Staples.
Yeah, he said some stuff, but I feel like
but he was mostly there on camera, just kind of like next to LeBron. You know what I mean? Like you'll hear from LeBron, it's his show, but I also want to hear from Candace Parker.
Yep, I
wanted to hear from her because she's very, very, very smart, and she's about to do some great things outside of just playing women's basketball.
Yep.
Outside of just playing basketball, excuse me. And then the second episode, Elena Delle Donne was probably somebody that's on my list, and Jared Carmichael in the first.
I'll tell you what. From watching this show, watching this show made me realize how much more I'd like to see more women sitting around having these conversations in this kind of style. I would like to see somebody do something with, some of the women broadcasting stuff out there, Jamel Hill, et cetera. I'd love to see some more women involved in sports and more athletes, women talking about, because I think it was nice to hear some of the issues that the women brought up. But what if they had more of a comfortable space with women like themselves, like-minded, doing this? That would be kind of dope. I'd like to see that. One of the things that have come out of this conversation that everybody seems to be talking about around hip-hop is, are there rules in hip-hop beef? Did Pusha go too far by mentioning 40 and his multiple sclerosis condition in there? Did Pusha cross any boundaries in beef? I know people have very strong feelings to this.
He says no. He says in beef there's no rules. And he also wanted to clarify that, where he said this on Joe Budden's podcast, was that he didn't wish death on 40. He just sort of pointed out that he has that condition with the whole 666 bar.
Yeah.
With me, I'm like, hey man, it's beef. Like if y'all beefing, beef.
I think if you going in, it's all open. You can't, like, people have done, like,
Drake mentioned his wife.
Right, and so that's the thing I think gets lost in it. Like in the, what was that? It was the Duppy freestyle. Drake mentioned his wife.
Drake is trying to, they're trying to absolve Drake. I thought it was fair that he said that that he felt like Drake's appearance circling back to the shop was sort of just one-sided and a biased interview. He said,
well, you put him on the shop, you're going to get his opinion.
Yeah.
Of I'm not saying like, and Drake is going to protect his image. I expect that. I also expect Pusha going back on Joe Budden is protecting his image.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're going to do.
But he was saying, like, he hated that Maverick Carter, which is basically lobbing just lobbing stuff to Drake or whatever.
Look.
But you know what?
I take it in context of what it is and who it is and their relationship. Like, I'm not necessarily, I'm not expecting, sit down like Oprah where she might press some questions or whoever. I don't.
That's exactly. That's what I was going to say.
It's all now, would it be nice to get that in a certain form? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't expect that.
I don't think the questions Joe Budden and his people on his podcast were going to ask Pusha and they did even press him on some other stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that on the shop. You got to understand the medium and the form of what it is. Like, it is what it is. Man.
Are you saying Joe Budden's a little more biased? I mean, a little more unbiased than LeBron James?
Yeah, because I think
Because I agree with you.
In terms of what the show is, I think we understand that if you watch the show, and I thought there was some interesting stuff about Drake reaching out to LeBron for advice. I found that very interesting, and LeBron texting back. But
yeah.
I don't think Pusha was reaching out to Joe Budden for advice, if you understand what I'm saying. I think Joe Budden is like, look, I'm a former rapper, I'm in this industry, but I'm also working in the media now, and I'm going to ask these questions that I think the people actually really want to hear. I'm not expecting that on the shop. Now, I think they did ask him some questions that were interesting about how it went down, but like, obviously this is Drake's perspective, and we've heard Pusha's perspective. Now it's just kind of about, who do you believe? What do you believe? How do you feel about what the rules are, if there are any, in rap beef?
Yeah, they also have a prior relationship, Joe Budden and Pusha T. We've heard him on a couple Moo musics. They were on Dessert for Thought together.
But I don't think it didn't. At least it doesn't come across to me like the way it seemed as.
No,
Drake and LeBron is where Drake is hitting him, and I don't know anybody.
I don't get that from Joe. I get sort of. I guess I get more of a journalist, especially now in this sort of other career that he's gone on, as opposed to LeBron James, who's just trying to put out great original content.
Which it is. And like I said, it's fine for both spaces and things to exist within the form of consumption of media. There's just I'm not going to really criticize Maverick Carter or LeBron for it. I kind of understand it just for what it is, and I'm like, okay. Like, I know that's what it is. I never for once thought they were going to press that Drake. You could say they should have.
Yeah.
And I don't even know on what you could have pressed him on. Like, he said what he said is his version of the events. Okay. I mean, we're probably never going to really know the whole truth. I just think the discussion coming from it, like I said before, about are there rules in rap beef, you're saying, yo, it's whatever once you get into this. If somebody comes at you and brings that smoke.
I mean, going off my own experiences. Look, if I have beef with like another journalist or media person or whoever, like whatever, like
you gonna get that smoke.
Yeah, it's like what's really gonna be off limits.
I want to know the people out there who's rocking with Conor McGregor, because Conor McGregor lately. Let's even talking the last year from the Barclays thing, which we talked about in this podcast, where he had his whole outrage, and you were there. And you hit me up that day. And you were there. I think we did a podcast that day after. I think that day it happened.
We did.
Yes, we did.
We did.
You were like,
I left right before that happened. But I heard about it from other journalists right before it went out, and then I saw it on my phone, and I was pissed. I don't remember what episode we recorded that day.
I don't remember, but we did it.
Probably a good episode, by the way. You should go check that out.
But here's the thing. Conor McGregor has been on some crazy stuff for quite a while. And if you even go back before that to the Mayweather fight, which nobody should have bought or watched, and I did not. But
me neither.
I did. I
watched Miguel Cotto that night.
I was very much. I remember we both watched that fight that night. I very much was following the build up to the fight, the press conferences, all the stuff. And look, a lot of the stuff had a lot of racially charged things around it. And there's a lot of things. I'm not going to absolve Mayweather either, because he said a lot of ignorant stuff too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
But much less witty than Conor.
There's a lot of stuff that Conor has said that's been very ignorant, and he really is pushing the race.
I think I know where you're going here.
He did the same thing with the fight against Khabib. You're talking about this guy's religion.
Yeah.
You're talking about his where is he from? Which he's like from Dagestan?
Dagestan,
excuse me.
Dagestan.
He's from Dagestan.
They don't play.
You're talking,
they don't play with
you're talking
that
about his country.
Yeah.
You're talking about his family. You're talking about his religion, his people. And here's my thing. Did I watch the fight? No. But I did see when Khabib decided to climb out of the octagon and give that guy the business. Now,
Dylan Dennis. Dylan Dennis trains with McGregor. He's a Bellator fighter.
Here's the thing.
So
let me tell you why I have a problem with Dylan.
He was calling,
I have a problem with Dylan Dennis.
Okay.
All right? McGregor's been saying all this stuff. He's kind of hyped it up in his Trumparian way, where it's built up to all this stuff and saying whatever he wants. And nobody's called him out for it. Till Khabib had enough. And I'm not Muslim, and I'm not a brown person, but you know what? I know you love the violence. And this is why you love UFC and you love all this.
Although, you know what's funny?
I'm fine. What I'm saying.
Let me just say this real quick, because I reacted live and I was like, "Yo, why did he jump over the cage?"
Nah, I'm glad he jumped over.
And then I since thought about it and have got more information. I'm like, I still don't know if he should have went to that extent, but I feel him though. I get it. And remember, full disclosure, I was at the press conference of Radio City.
Yes.
I was there when Conor was saying, I was posting these clips. I was there when Conor was saying all these things about his religion, and all this stuff, cursing out everybody in Khabib's camp, and Khabib's just like, send me location. I'm going to make, October, whatever, 6, the worst night of your life. And you see him when he's beating on him, when he's in full mount, and he's elbowing Conor in the face. He's like, let's talk now. And then after the end of the round, Conor's like, it's only business. Indicating that he is hyping up that fight, obviously to make money from it or whatever. But why is it that, again, Conor's in this big situation and he loses?
Well, it's only business when you had to tap out, right? When somebody got you in the chokehold.
I had Khabib winning that way, too.
Well, what I know is the people like yourself who followed UFC very carefully and closely, and some other people I have friends with who are really into UFC, a lot of you guys had Khabib winning and was like, this dude, I didn't really know anything about Khabib, so I'm not big into UFC. This dude's a monster.
Yes.
He's going to give Conor McGregor the business, and he did.
He called this whole thing, I was tracking it, right? It started long ago, like years ago. They were once, Conor hinted at this in that press conference at Radio City that day, that they were friends even at one point. And I remember at some time, somewhere along the line, they were supposed to fight each other. And Khabib actually called him out after his fight at UFC 205, in which Conor was the main event against Eddie Alvarez. It was champion versus champion, featherweight champion versus lightweight champion. Khabib was on the undercard, fighting a dude named Michael Johnson, very tough dude, and Khabib won. And it was one of the more entertaining fights that he's had. He still dominated his opponent, but it was very entertaining. After the fight, he called out Conor McGregor, and it's been going on just ever since then. And that was in November of 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me get back to where we're going about him getting out the ring.
Yes, yeah.
Getting out. What's the guy's name that he went after?
Dylan Dennis. Khabib went after Dylan Dennis. Yes. Now, flying knee.
Reportedly, Dylan Dennis shouted at Khabib.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he said before that, but he basically called him a Muslim rat.
Yeah. Which is what Conor was calling him also.
And that's the point
in the press conference.
Right. So my point to this is this has been building up. He's been saying this all the time. He's been talking about this guy's family, his people, his religion. He's been saying all this stuff, and we now know living in this Trumparian society, use that word again, where people have been saying this, and there's been this disrespect towards Muslim Americans and people from his part of the world, brown folks that look like him.
Okay.
He's heard this rhetoric. He's had enough. We also know that Mr. Dana White.
Oh, yeah.
Does have some little Trump connections himself.
He was at the White House not too long ago visiting his boy.
Yeah, I wonder
with Colby Covington.
And I heard who said this? I believe this was Bomani Jones said this and brought this up on his podcast, and he was wondering, like, I wonder if Dana and Khabib ever have any conversations. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to see how that goes. How do you think Khabib feels about talking to somebody that rocks with Trump that's not really for people that look like him?
It's funny because I've actually wondered that about, dudes like Tyron Woodley.
A lot of people throughout the UFC.
David Branch, Angela Hill.
Do they really mess with
you see where I'm going?
I mean, I see where you're going, but let's keep all that aside.
But let's keep it here.
This guy, I'm forgetting double D, whatever his name
Dylan
is.
Dennis.
Dylan Dennis. This guy says, he calls him a Muslim rat.
Yeah.
And Khabib's heard all this, and he just said, yo, I had enough of this.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this. We talked about keeping the same energy and people keeping that same energy when it comes to beef.
Yeah.
It's real easy.
Khabib did it.
And real nice to say you're a Muslim rat when you're on that side of the octagon in the crowd.
Yeah.
And Khabib was like, oh, word?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you think there's no way between me to just get out here or go out through the octagon door? I'm coming up and over. Now,
after choking out your boy.
And the thing is, I don't get how you have that energy to talk that spicy when your boy just got choked out and was tapping out in the ring.
And was dominated.
Right?
He probably won just the third round, which, by the way, by many people's standards, is the only round that Khabib's ever lost.
How are you talking like that when your man's just got choked out? Now, you say that and it's racially charged and you call this guy a Muslim rat.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, now,
among other things, by the way.
Other things, yeah. That's the kind of the thing that, when he went after that.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of safety, Does the UFC want Khabib, this huge dude, climbing up over the octagon, going into the crowd?
Yeah.
No. We saw the Malice at the Palace. We know what happened there. We know how fans were there. The one thing I looked at in here was the fans in this situation looked like they were like, oh, man.
It just got real.
This got real very quickly.
Yeah.
Double D, what did you have to do when Khabib was coming over the octagon? Because he looked shook.
Yeah.
I
didn't expect this type of thing. Yeah. I don't think anyone did.
Well, you know what? When you keep pushing people, when you keep messing with people, calling minorities out of their name, talking about their religion, calling them disrespectful names, sometimes people feel like they have no other answer to resort to than one of your favorite things in the world.
Yeah.
Violence.
That's one of the things. That's funny. But that's one of the things I was going to say is that not everyone's going to react the same way, Conor. Like, some people, when you tell them certain things, and like when he called Nate Diaz a cholo and things like that, like,
I remember that.
Some people are going to react in a way that, oh, this is beyond just a business. This is beyond just fighting.
Because
this is legitimate animosity. And he sparked that. One, yes, to promote the fight, but two, he's been saying the whole time, this is never over. Conor's saying this. This is never over between him and Khabib. This is always going to continue, whatever. And some people are going to take exception to that, which is probably why some of Khabib's people went into the octagon on the other side and went to attack Conor McGregor, who, by the way, threw the first punch. Now, I don't absolve Conor McGregor in that, but I definitely don't absolve Khabib's people in that. They shouldn't be running into the octagon and attacking a fighter after he just had the fight. Yeah. But all this being said, I see the rationalization in their heads, not in mine, but in their heads, why they felt the need to sort of do this. And I don't think they should have, because that's really technically assault, especially since considering you're just beating on a man who just fought. But, all of this happened because of comments. Conor McGregor basically started this whole thing.
He's been pushing this rhetoric for quite some time, as you said before, throughout with other people. Now, when I was listening to one of the recent Bomani Jones podcasts, he did this brilliant job. Not a brilliant job, but he actually put out some sound that I had not heard from Khabib's post-match conference, in which he said Khabib was basically saying, and I'm paraquoting him, it was like, yo, everybody's all concerned about me going outside of the octagon. I shouldn't have done it. He admitted he shouldn't have done it. But why is nobody talking about the constant racial triggering that McGregor and his people have done? And it's always expected upon us as minorities to be like, yeah, you just got to eat that. Yeah, he talked about your race. He talked about your religion.
That's why I call people.
Yeah, he talked about your family. Yeah, you got to eat that. I'm like, somebody keeps saying that to you, they're going to get punched in the face.
That's why I call people off guard.
Sometimes people need to get punched in the face.
Yes, especially in, I don't know, the world of professional fighting. You know what I mean?
Oh, you thought this fighter was just going to sit here and
Yeah. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Like, how does it? And then a few days after that, ironically, Khabib is like meeting with Putin, and then Conor's meeting with Jerry Jones, and they're kind of just going on with their lives for now. But of all people,
look, I am not a big fan of the UFC, and hopefully we will have a guest up here about the UFC pretty soon to talk about, which I'm always excited to. I'm learning more about. But how we are pushing these things through these fighting sports, because I'll put boxing in this too. How sometimes, look, these fighting sports, a lot of times people rock and root for the people who look like them. I do that all the time. I'll admit it.
I do that with Latinos.
Right.
I was rooting for Rob Font when he was fighting Rafael Hassan, and I knew he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
This was a UFC fight not that long ago.
Listen, this is how people sell these fights, but there's a way.
Rafael Hassan,
people get behind their cultures.
I don't
want
Brazilians to be mad at me.
But you can't. This when you have people, in the McGregor Mayweather fight, pushing a lot of racial stereotypes and just ignorance, which, like I said, someone's on Mayweather's part too. This stuff is really dangerous, and I think this is where you get to the stuff where somebody's like, "Nah, man, forget that. I'm getting up out this ring and I'm going to beat your ass."
Yeah,
and Double D is lucky he didn't get an ass beaten. And I'm telling you, if Khabib had gotten any closer, what was he going to say?
Yeah.
Because I would have liked to have seen him in a headlock and been like, say that now.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I'm sure he was trying.
It's easier to say that when you're on the other side of the octagon and you know you're never going to have to step into that ring, so you can just sit on the other side and say, hey, you Muslim rat. It's like people when they're driving and they yell stuff at you because they're angry. Yeah. I'm like, you wouldn't have that same energy outside this car.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's like Twitter. which we've talked about on this podcast.
Yep.
That's why people are so emboldened to say things to you just based off of a tweet you have. You know, like I've been on the receiving end of plenty of slurs and things like that. I'm sure you have as well.
I don't think
I probably have more so just because I'm on Twitter more.
I haven't had anybody come at me with a slur yet.
Oh, Twitter. I was around election time. Oh yes,
yeah, that hasn't happened yet. I mean, yeah, but they will say that on Twitter. But they will not gonna say it.
That's why I don't get crazy about it. But like, dude, if you're right there and all I gotta do is hop over the cage to get you, after I just choked out your homeboy, look, man, you're gonna get this flying knee. And then when I land, it's going to be on and popping.
You're going to bring that Hurricane Michael force power to them.
Especially if you're Khabib and you're, I don't know, the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
Yep. Yo, man.
I mean?
I am not
arguably,
here for that. Yes,
arguably, at least, because Daniel Cormier has 2 titles right now.
But I hope people can take out of the conversation of the beef that is there is like, yo, look, man, this racially charged, insensitive stuff that people are saying in these fighting sports is not good, it's not cool. And sometimes you're going to get people like Khabib who've had enough.
Yeah, and just to put a bow on this, do you care to, I mean, you didn't watch the first part, but do you care if a rematch happens?
Yo, I got to be honest, man. And I don't really get down with
you want to see the rematch?
I kind of want to see it. I kind of want to see it. And I want to see if McGregor can bring that same energy. Now,
Luke wants to see anarchy now.
but from all accounts, now here's the thing. But the competition person in me says, no, McGregor, you don't deserve no rematch because you just got your ass handed to you. And now you're, why would it? We know what's going to happen. He's not in Khabib's class.
That's my thing.
And I don't even watch the UFC, and I can see that.
A lot of sort of MMA purists. I don't know if I consider myself an MMA purist. I'm just a big fan, and I also cover the sport when they're here in
violence.
New York. Yeah, but I a lot of MMA purists are saying that they don't necessarily want to see the fight because this is I don't know. This is like a rematch between Mayweather and somebody he dominated, Canelo. You know what I mean? Or maybe not so much because Canelo's gotten better, but at the same time with Khabib and with Conor, it's going to be the same thing the second time, and you're going to get a lot of the racially charged animosity again in the pre-fight thing.
Except I'm just not a fan of McGregor, so I wouldn't mind seeing him get his.
Yeah, Khabib's suspension still has to be determined, but at the same time, they are going to make a lot of money off of that rematch if it were to happen. How
about penalizing McGregor for some of the stuff that he's saying too? You can't just be having you can't just say whatever you want. We talk about how teaching kids that you can't be involved in violence, but people can't just say whatever they want without there being real consequences.
And I don't see one. I don't think Dana White would, and two. I remember, it's interesting because we left this part out, but Dana White had said that, that was one of the most hideous actions ever in terms of...
Really?
No, not that. Conor McGregor throwing the dolly into the bus and that thing. He said that was...
Was he suspended? I'm sorry, was he suspended after that?
I don't...
Yeah, I don't remember that.
He went to court. He got arrested and that stuff, but
Conor McGregor went to court.
He avoided
now
that.
Has to do some community service.
Yeah,
okay.
he avoided that. He's famous. He's famous essentially white dude. So he was able to avoid that. But basically, what I'm saying is that the UFC then enabled this by using that footage in the pre-fight thing. And Dana White, his point was that why wouldn't we use that if it's part of the story? And this is after he had said that. Oh, this is one of the most disgusting actions ever.
Part of the story. Conor's rage?
No, well, Conor's rage, Conor and Khabib's rivalry, and that was a big part of it also because he did that because he was chasing down Khabib, who had a run-in with one of See, that whole thing happened because he had a run-in with one of Conor's people like a day or so before, and then Conor flew in unannounced from Ireland.
I remember, And, I remember you explaining this to me, too.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I get that people are going to do what they think they need to do to sell the fight.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, sometimes you also have to be accountable for what it is that you're selling just as much as people have to be accountable for what they are saying, right? You can't just walk up to anybody on the street and say something and then be mad if that person punches you in the face.
And
then you're going to be like, oh, man, well, violence wasn't the answer. No, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
That person probably deserved to get punched in the face. I'm sorry, yes, it's a safety issue. People don't want to see this dude running the stands. But what dude said to him, calling him a Muslim rat, after everything in the context of what was said before, dude definitely deserved what he had coming to him.
You could only push and provoke certain people, but so far.
So much.
Yeah.
Yep. You keep doing that, then you're really going to have some beef on your hands.
Yeah.
Backpack Broadcasting continues to bring you the best original sports content, but now you can get more of the content you love. For as little as $3 a month, you can get access to bonus content, including behind-the-scenes footage and interviews from the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, or the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. All this exclusive content comes via Patreon. There are tiered levels of patronage, and each Backpack Broadcasting patron receives exclusive perks. Your support helps Backpack Broadcasting create more of the original content that you love. Visit Backpack Broadcasting's Patreon page and become a patron today. Welcome back, Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 47. We haven't named this episode yet, but Brian, as always, 47. Is a bunch of interesting numbers. What do we got this time?
I like that we do this to start the second segment.
Yeah, always. I like to break it up. Yeah,
and it's sort of is a good just starting point for where we're about to go, and it knocks things completely off course, which I also love because I love anarchy
and beef
and
violence.
Yeah, so we're gonna start off with Mel Blount. All right, cool. John Lynch.
One of my favorite NFL players through the late 90s. Oh, fantastic safety. Love John Lynch, man. Now GM of the Broncos.
Yeah, but I don't think...
No, not Broncos. The 49ers, sorry.
Yeah, I mean... But I'd be surprised if you go with John Lynch just because I don't...
I'm not. Just saying I liked him as a player.
Okay. Jesse Orozco.
Yeah, special place for Jesse Orozco. But,
what was that? Yeah. He threw his glove in the air before. Whatever. Yeah, World Series.
Yeah.
Howie Kendrick.
Very solid player.
Johnny Cueto, who I like.
Right. Yeah, I like Johnny Cueto.
Another former Met, Tom Glavine.
His Met career was...
was he an all-star?
Yeah, but he also didn't show up in the big games in those years where we blew it down the stretch.
Who was the better Met, Tom Glavine or Pedro?
Pedro.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And Francisco Liriano.
Who's somebody I like, who I've always liked.
I was a big fan of his when he came in.
The Twins.
I was so bummed out when he had that season-ending injury.
I know, man.
It was him and somebody else who was really good that year, Verlander. Him and Justin Verlander came in the same year.
Yeah.
I thought those two were going to be sensational for years to come. Verlander was for a while.
And then fell off and still is going to come back.
And now he's back, but Liriano, I thought I basically thought he was going to be like Johan Santana.
Yep.
Basically,
he's a lefty too, right?
Yeah, and they were on the same team until Santana came to the Mets.
Yep.
And the person who I think we're both going to go with.
Yes.
One of the greatest nicknames in sports ever.
Yes.
AK-47. Andre Kirilenko, which speaks to my love of violence because his nickname is AK-47.
Yeah, but I want it's a dope nickname, and I loved it. And people forget this, man. People really forget about AK-47. Mm-hmm. His days when he was on the Jazz, one of the best two-way players in the league, very underrated defensive player with the length he had. And when I almost kind of wish he had kind of played more in this era of basketball.
Yeah.
Where he would stretch the floor and he had the length and could switch to Yeah, but AK-47 is my vote because that's one of my favorite nicknames too. Great nickname. Lock it down. This is the Andre Kirilenko episode. But this episode is about beef. And some of y'all out there, y'all don't like...
I had to look at the rundown. I'm like, where are we going?
Y'all don't like
I know where we're going.
Y'all don't like... unexpected beef is good too. Y'all don't like the players in college, especially in college basketball. You don't like the fact that some of them have been making noise. They want money. They should be paid, even though they are getting paid under the table by a lot of people who want to act like that doesn't exist. NCAA.
Can I interject real quick?
Sure.
I ran into another one of these dudes recently who, very nice dude, very nice guy, whatever. But he, for those watching, Dexter's making the face.
If he's okay with people being exploited?
Hold on. That's not necessarily what he said. But he was cool. He was nice to me in person, and we had a nice sports discussion, whatever. But he is one of those. I like the college basketball game.
Better than NBA?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And I was like, bruh, like, come on. I don't want to see dudes being micromanaged into a system where they're averaging 12 and 5, and then they get to the NBA, and it's like, oh, this person's actually really good. Why? Because the NBA empowers its players to play like how they're supposed to play. And instead of averaging 12 and 5 in college, you're averaging, 19 and 8 at the NBA level. Come on, man.
What I start to think more about when people have made that argument, which we exhausted in the episodes ago about this, people like to say the game is pure. To which I then would say, what does that even mean? And the game is pure. Have you seen everything that's gone on around the NCAA in the last year? Oh, it's pure?
Pure, yeah.
Oh, so pure, right? That these guys, we were in a bar one time. We talked about this in the podcast. Somebody who literally said that the NBA players were selfish.
Yeah.
And they just cared about the money, right? Let me say that again. The NBA players are selfish, and they cared about the money. Hey, you know who cares about money? The NCAA.
You know who else cares about money? Me.
Yeah. Right.
Like, come on, man.
You know who cares about? You know who also cares about money too? Not just the NCAA. Oh, the kids that are playing for the NCAA. That's why they've been taking money from these shoe companies and coaches who have been funneling this money. Right?
We are exposed to more information now, and I like to talk about this, more information now than we ever have been. So it's easier to, sort of gain knowledge and get game when you're younger. Now, you always say that you wish you knew the things back then that you know now. I wish that when I was playing basketball in high school, and that first of all, I would have wished that I was a lot better, but I wish that I would have known some of these things that these guys can know now, just being in what I like to call the Twitter streets, and just being privy to this information where, hey, there's money going around all over the place. Back then, there was still money going around. There always has been with the NCAA, and colleges and things like that, but we didn't always know to what degree. Now we have the information, and now I like that. We're going to get into this G League topic, but I like where we're going as far as like all this stuff.
There's the money. When I was covering high school basketball here in New York City for a bunch of years, there's always been money going around. There's always been money going around through AAU circles. There's always been money going around between schools and players. And players knew it. Parents of players knew it. There's a parent of a player. And I'm not going to say who the player is or their family. There's a parent of a player I know who demanded from a school that was interested in this player that they get them a home for the parents and family to live in when they came to see the player play. Now,
probably because they knew they could get it.
Yeah. Now, the school actually didn't end up giving. I'm not going to say the school's name either. It didn't end up. I'll tell you this off camera. The school didn't end up giving.
You can't give us the school's name?
No, I'm not going to say the school's name. Too messy, too spicy. People will start to connect the dots. I'm not going to do that. People who know in the know, like myself, will know exactly who and what school I'm talking about. But
does it rhyme with BlueCon?
No, that's not. They're not at all.
I'm just being messy. I just threw out a school.
Nah, but this was going on. This was happening. And listen, if you take kids from lower income situations that know there's an opportunity for them to get paid and how badly these schools want them, I'm not mad at the parents or the kids for trying to get this bag out here. I ain't mad at them.
Not at all.
What I saw, and I said this last year when we talked about the whole FBI scandal that came out, which nobody seems to care about. Because people understand that the kids were getting paid anyway.
Yeah.
Some people say it's pure, it's a joke. Stop having this sham that this is amateur athletics when we know it's not. When we know that the schools are profiting, the NCAA is profiting, and then you have these schools, which I find interesting in all of this, that want to act that they're holier than thou. You just had Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, who I respect, come out and say, pretty much this is a blip. This isn't what happens at Duke, and then what comes out.
Come on, man.
Zion Williamson apparently got a bunch of money who now is going to play for Duke. And you're telling me, like, Coach K probably is looking the other way. People were worried about Rick Pitino taking these kids to strip clubs? Really?
I mean, they're probably better off.
You think that was the first time that was happening?
Oh, the Jalen Rose story? I mean, you saw what he said about...
Money and sex have been used.
He said that when he was getting recruited, and mind you, he had gone to Michigan in the early 1990s.
Yep.
He was like, yo, if I didn't get it in, I was not going to that school. If I didn't get it in on a visit,
then
I was not going to that school.
And if I was a 18-year-old kid 17-year-old kid, I'm going on these visits, and you're basically throwing money and women at me. What do you think I'm going to do?
I'm going unless the money and the women are better somewhere else.
Yeah. And listen, these schools know that this is the cost of business. It is a business.
Yeah.
Why is there such beef from people about these kids getting paid?
I listen, man. The NCAA, and we don't work in a college anymore, so we can talk about this.
Yeah, before we couldn't say that. I had to temper my comments.
Yeah.
And I would like to say the person that said that comment to us that was in a bar, they worked for a college. So we can say that now.
But basically, it's like
comments were idiotic.
The NCAA is still operating under a rule book that's been established in like 1882. I'm just throwing out a random year or whatever.
But there are people who still believe in these rules.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. It's these whitewashed establishments who want to keep rules the way they always were, don't want to evolve with times that are rapidly changing. I mean, come on. Like, we've already figured out a way around these rules years and years and years and years and years ago. So now let's get into the G League thing.
Yeah.
You know, this deal that's going on. I love that they're doing this, and a lot of people are giving LeVar Ball credit. Don't know how you feel about that, because he established the JBA, and I felt like the NBA was going to go this route regardless.
Yeah.
The G League was.
Well, the NBA wants to get rid of the one and done. This is their way of smoothing it.
Yeah, so basically to sort of tell you what this is, they're offering for 18-year-olds coming out of high school, elite 18-year-olds. So I don't know if they came out with an actual distinction on what and what's not elite.
Yeah, I haven't read that yet.
It could be just whoever they consider 5-star guys, whatever. They have to like come up with that on their own time. But whoever they determine is elite can be eligible to get a $125,000 salary for a year in the G League, going from small city to small city, bus to bus, but you get a lot of money doing it for a 5-month period, so that's $25,000 a month to play basketball professionally before going into the NBA draft the following year.
And you get to learn team systems. You get to learn how to be a professional.
You get to be scouted by people who have already been at the NBA level. You have people that have been at the NBA level in colleges too, but this time you get paid for it. You don't have to worry about, legal ramifications or whatever. And you're also getting an education on what it's like to be an adult.
Although the money you might get from the schools is tax-free, though.
What do you mean? Oh, no, but here's
you get that under the table money.
I was partially joking, but here's what I think elite athlete would do. You know what I mean? Like if I had a younger brother or a sibling who was elite at this level or whatever, and unfortunately I think this only applies to male basketball players. Because but anyway, I would say, look, get all the money you can from these colleges and these recruiting things, get all the money under the table, whatever, and then go to the Canton Charge or the Long Island Nets or the Westchester Knicks, or go to whatever G League team that gives you whatever.
See,
get the most money out of it as you can.
What you're bringing up is interesting. I wonder if there's some players that will play it like that. That's like, hey, funnel me this money.
So then I can go to your school.
Go to your school and then decommit and be like, I'm gonna go to professional route.
Hell yeah! Players used to decommit all the time.
Yep.
Players used to decommit all the time back in the day. And we forget this because that period of where players were coming out from high school, 1995 to 2005, players were decommitting all the time in favor of, instead of going to Duke, I'm going to go to the draft. Players used to do that all the time last minute.
And look, I'm all for the players having money opportunities. If the schools are still stupid enough to be like, I'm going to give you a bag of 100, 150,000 just to come you, they will, because they're so desperate and they're going to see their It's going to be very interesting. They're going to see the programs dying is what I'm going to say, but it's going to be very interesting in the next year to see what elite level or what that term is, what these guys do. Now, there's an argument that could be made that your part of your decision making is going to be like, do you want to go play for the Canton Charge, Long Island Nets, and travel on these buses to go around these places where you could be at Kentucky and you could still be flying pretty well. You can also be on a campus where you're a big man on campus and all the stuff you'll have there, the women, the girls, the groupies. Yes, people, this exists on college campuses. If you've been to a big time school, you know this happens.
This also exists on these kids' high schools as well.
Schools too, right?
Let's get that straight.
The lifestyle the argument could be made, the lifestyle could be better in a way for you at college, but what's your bank account looking like? Your bank account could be looking a lot better if you're playing in the D League, and if you're really good and you can get into an NBA and people can really scout you and see you, that could all change in a bit. So why not, if you're in a lower income situation, you can help your family quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're making $125,000 for 5 months. Some of these people and players I've covered come from no money, very impoverished situations.
Which is why they're taking money from college.
You're not, which is why they're taking money from college,
Yeah.
right? But now you're getting this and you're actually going to be in an NBA structure.
Yes.
Because a lot of schools try to go to places where they think they can develop from the draft. But this place, this G League structure, is actually going to develop you from a draft or have you in with teams and get to see different scouts and coaches and styles that'll prepare your game for the NBA game. You want to be a pro, play with the pros. This is what people do in soccer academies in Europe. South America, all these places, it's no different than that. They pay these kids at young ages to learn how to play and be a professional. And I always say this all the time. What did I always say? Why was I very high on Luka Doncic? Because there's something to be said for guys who have played at a very high level and know how to be a pro.
And another thing that you always say is the easiest way to learn is to be straight, just thrown into the fire.
Yep.
Just go out there and just figure it out. And a lot of these players, this is what you're going to get. You're not going to have everything tailored to you with a college system and the structure and things like
the
that.
way the coach wants it for you.
Yeah, all the micromanaging. And
you got to go to class here.
That's what I was going to say. Do you really want to go to Algebra 1 or do you want to play virtually NBA basketball? Yeah. And to be in the NBA system, like think about it. If you're a kid, let's use the Nets or the Knicks as an example. If you're a kid that's a 5-star recruit, maybe you're like the 13th best player in the country, so you're determined as elite, right? And you get a $125,000 deal from, let's say, the Long Island Nets, right? You're getting to know. You're probably gonna have to talk, have a conversation with Sean Marks, with guys in the organization. You're probably gonna get to know how these guys and how they think. You're gonna know a lot of things about the NBA. You're gonna have veterans on your team who have been there. The Nets actually just acquired Marshall Plumlee for a G League draft pick. So you're gonna have guys who have probably been in the NBA or have played around the world overseas in your locker room.
I think one, it's great for the NBA itself too. And it's going to help develop the league and actually having a real minor league system, as I think there's still only 3 teams that don't have a G League team.
Yeah.
So you're getting to that. Now, does this hurt college basketball? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It will. And you know what I want to see?
I'm here for it, though.
You know what I want to see? All you people who talk about, I like the college game because it's pure. Okay, you watch that pure, less talented game.
Yeah.
As the talent goes, if it happens that way, if players start trending more and saying, "Yo, I can get this bag in the G League," and learn and be better prepared for the draft when I come out. Because what you're telling me, if you're the NBA, some people are going to come with the argument, Brian, they're going to say to us, "Oh, yo, you don't care about these kids getting education." Hey, man, college ain't for everybody.
But you can get an education outside of school.
Many different ways.
I've got more of an education the last 2-3 years of doing this job and just going through the crash course and doing all these things. Gotten more of Asher could speak to this too, because we went to college together at St. Francis. We've gotten more of an education the last few years in our fields, and our other friends have too that we went to school with, than actually in college.
That's a conversation. I think it's a great point. We could definitely
4 years of college and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, where a lot of our friends are in debt.
And that's a conversation we should probably hit on one day and another day and talk about that, about why real life experience is important. The same thing applies to professional athletes. I don't know why people act like it's any differently. Get these kids. If you want to be a professional athlete, well, learn how to be a professional.
Yeah.
Get out there and be a professional and do that so that you can do it better on a high level. And if you're really investing in kids in that, and I know the NBA is trying to have stuff, and we know people have worked with the league. They try to do stuff for guys so they can have opportunities to go back to school in the off season. These programs do exist.
Yeah.
So people don't know about it. It doesn't get publicized enough, but these programs literally do exist, and the NBA has done that. So you can still help these young men get an education while also building their craft better than they would in some of these college structures that have shown to not give a damn about them.
And sort of back to my point from before, now with all the information that is readily available to you, college education probably doesn't hold as much weight as it used to. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, but that
you can Google a lot of things now.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say you should get all your education from Google, but
yeah, I'm not trying to say that. Is college important? Yes, depending on the situation, your professors and things like that. If you want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars,
for everybody.
But it's not for everybody. And look, if you want to learn how to play professional basketball, you should, I don't know, play professional basketball.
Right. Like, there's a novel thought there.
Yeah, like geometry and physics and philosophy
aren't going to help you.
Aren't going to help me when I'm trying to figure out how is an effective way to dunk on Jared Allen without getting blocked like Blake Griffin did the other night.
But who it does help is all those people that have been sitting up at the top of the NCAA fat in their pockets. That's who has helped for a long time, and those people don't want the system to change. That's part of the problem. They don't want the system to change. The system is evolving. Revolution's coming. I'm kind of glad. And the NCAA has been known for quite some time to have a lot of corruption involved in it. And I'm not talking about paying the players under the table. To me, it's like that's always been whatever to me. We knew what was going on was happening. Those players should get paid. The corruption is the exploitation of the players, which they've been doing for quite some time.
Yes.
That's the corruption here.
Yes.
And nobody talks about that with the NCAA.
In the sports with heavy amounts of minorities.
Yes.
Yes.
College football, college basketball.
Because that's where the issues are. And the most famous college sports by far in this country, basketball and football. Who plays basketball and football the most?
A lot of minorities.
You tell me.
A lot
of people that look like Dexter.
The NBA's back. I was really excited. I think Tuesday night, sat down. My daughter watched some of the games. Really excited about starting NBA. If you watch this, you can see I have the Knicks gear on. The Knicks won their first game. They're 1-0. I wore the gear today because before we record this podcast, they were going to play the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if they'll ever be over 500 again.
Or at least 500.
Or at least 500.
By the time this comes out, they will be 500 or...
Still at 2-0.
Yeah.
So either way, it's a good time to represent. I actually walked down the block of my house today, and this guy was like, "Oh, you might be a Knicks fan." I was like, "Yeah, you think?" I was joking. He was like,
"No, I'm just trying to match."
He was like,
New Yorkers do that.
He was like, "When are you going to wear all this Knicks gear again this season?" I said, "This is probably the last day."
Draft day.
Draft day
when they have the 3rd overall pick and a shot at Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, or Cam Reddish.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll be smiling.
Oh, back to the G League thing real quick.
Yes,
because I just thought of this. Darius Baisley is somebody we have to watch, and we're going to watch closely.
Yep.
He is a 5-star recruit who is going straight to the G League. I think he missed out on the $125,000, so that sucks for him. But he's somebody who's going to go through the system now and sort of be, I guess, one of the guinea pigs. So it'll be interesting to see.
On him.
Yeah, because if he's averaging 18 and 11, because he's power forward, if he's averaging 18 and 11 or something like that, hey man, like he's gonna be a 1st-round pick easily. But back to the whole Knicks thing. I know you want them to tank. I know you don't want to see Kristaps Porzingis play a single set, a down, anything, an inning.
I won't say I want him to see. If Kristaps Porzingis comes back like what Paul George did the last couple of years and plays the last 15 games of the season, to get some run with the team and see how he integrates with some of the pieces, I'm fine with that. If he wants to get his 10 games, wants to get his leg on it, I'm totally fine with that.
But what if he's good and they win? That's the thing.
You know what? Let me fall back on that. Maybe it depends on how bad we are.
Here's the thing. If you guys are, I'm going to paint the picture for you, right? So you said 10 games? 20 games? Let's say 20. Let's say 20.
No, it's too much. 20 is too much.
But what if I'm saying, what if he's good to go at the early March? Early March, if you have all of March and a little bit of April, that's roughly 20 games.
I still think you play it extra cautious and you bring him back for. I'm fine with you.
What if he's good by January?
I'm all about being extra cautious
because he got hurt last year around the All-Star break. He could be good in January.
He could, but like I said again, I'm all about being extra cautious with KP. I think we saw what KP could be. I think at the worst, dude will be, if he's healthy, will be like a B+ star level player, but he could have superstar talent. So protect that.
So let me paint this picture and throw these scenarios out for you. All right, scenario 1, right? Let's play this game. Let's say it's early March or whatever, and you guys are, let's see, roughly 20 games left, so let's say 60 games played of the season. You're 18 and 42. You sitting him out the rest of the way, even though he's fully healthy, good to go, or whatever? Or do you want to see what he has, or how do you sort of manage that situation?
I would wait.
You're 18 and 42, and the only team with a worse record in the East is the team that I think is going to be historically bad this year, the Atlanta Hawks. They are terrible.
Who the Knicks destroyed in the first game of the
season. They are terrible. Their highest-rated player in NBA 2K19 is Taurean Prince.
I would like to know who would be like the team that's closest to us behind us at third, who maybe has 20 or 21 wins or something like that, and how to factor. If that's the case, if there's a team within a couple games of you, I am then keeping KP out at least till the final 10 games. Maybe I bring him back then. And when I bring him back, I'm limiting his minutes. I'm not playing
20 minutes a game?
15, maybe, max. I'm playing him 15 minutes a game. I'm rotating him in. I just want to see him move. I'll play him in 4-minute bursts. I want to see him get his feet under him. I think that could be good for him. There's value in that.
To see, yeah,
it's also value in that if you're trying to sell free agents and how he looks. So there's value in that,
and it could also be a confidence thing internally.
That
I don't think we talk about this enough. Where yes, professional athletes who get paid millions and millions of dollars, they have feelings, and they have feelings of downtime. I mean, no, they have down points, they have lows and feelings of low self-confidence, especially when
injuries.
I don't know, coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah, and
where you can't play for the first time in your life for a long time.
It means something to get back out there in front of crowds and do it and see that you can do it at a level, and then you have some confidence to build up on into the offseason. I need to work on this. I didn't feel good doing this. That's what you need to do.
Throw out another one.
Okay.
This is the scenario I want to hear, right?
Oh, God.
So they were, torn ACL roughly 8 to 10 to 12 months. He got hurt last February. We are now in October, so we're talking 8 months now. Let's say we start seeing reports. He's not yet sprinting, but he probably will be soon, right? Let's say he's good to go, I don't know, early January. He's cleared for contact, cleared to practice, almost ready to go. And the Knicks, let's see, you're almost 3 months into the season. You're looking at, I don't know, let's say 35 games. Let's say 35, 40 games. Let's say 40 games. It's midway through the season. Let's say 40 games. What's
the record?
Hold on, I'm giving you the record. What if they're, they're not so bad. Kevin Knox averaging 15 and 7. Alonzo Trier looks like a legitimate NBA player, not just someone who's playing over his head as a two-way. Mitchell Robinson's playing well. Frank Ntilikina starting to grow into his form, what you think he's going to be, and he's a starter. And the team is 18 and 22. What do you do? Do you bring back Porzingis? Because you're right under 500. You're right under 500. And if you're 18 and 22 in the East, even at that point, you're probably looking at anywhere between 6, 7, probably 7. Let's not push it. Between 7 and 10.
Oh, that's tough. I would.
Do you bring him back clear for contact early January, ready to go? Oh man.
I would.
I'm bringing him back. I think I'm bringing him back.
I probably would, but I have to know that he was really good and the conditioning was there to bring him back because I'd like to see how you fit with those pieces. It would tell me Fizdale's doing a good job and it would see a culture shift.
See, that's the thing. But here's the thing. I don't think they're that good on the roster wise.
But I think the coach. I like the coach.
Fizdale. Yeah.
Your brother. I like the coach. You know what's funny? If the season, I think the Knicks won't be good because of talent roster-wise. That's the stuff they do. But it wouldn't shock me if Fizdale did a good job of getting a lot out of these guys. It wouldn't shock me at all. Now, I don't know what that is. Like if let's say the Knicks even finished and they won 35 games, which is even
but 35 almost gets you into the playoffs. I have the Nets as the 8th seed at 38 wins.
I think what you're looking for if you're this year Knicks fan, if you're a Knicks fan, I don't really care about the wins and losses. I'm not necessarily even focused on they have to tank. It's just more of are they playing hard? Are they developing? Do these pieces fit around KP? What can they do? That's kind of more of how I'm looking at it. And then whatever happens, happens. There's no expectations for me. I'm just watching whatever. I'm just looking to see how these guys are playing. I said that when Harold Beck was here. That's kind of what I'm looking for. The scenario brought up, I'd probably want to bring him back.
I don't think it's totally unrealistic either.
But I think you have to be very cautious. And the Knicks have to, everything with this, what you do with KP, I'm going to trust the team. I've trusted the leadership and what they've been doing thus far. I think they just have to be a little bit cautious. You've never seen a guy of this size come back. If he's ready, fine. If he's not, I'm also fine with that. If KP doesn't play this year, I'm fine with that. I would like to see him play a little bit for his confidence because I think that matters. But we'll see.
Let's get into NBA awards.
Real quick in the season. Excited about the season. Took a look at the Lakers last night and LeBron NBA awards. Who do you have? LeBron is a lot of people picked him for the MVP. You have him for the MVP this year?
I have him for the MVP, yes.
And I'll tell you
That's the one I told you. I was like, I have a good one for that. Are we allowed to have backup options or dark horses or anything like that?
Dark horse. My dark horse would be Anthony Davis.
Mine is Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, I could see that. Well, I just want to call Anthony Davis a dark horse. I like that with Kawhi Leonard. Let me tell you a couple things about the Lakers real quick. And I watched one game. I know they lost to Portland. They've got to get better defensively on the interior. They're going to need another big. Yeah. And the lack of shooting is going to hurt them. But what they do, what's really good, they can attack.
Yes.
And they pass very well.
Yeah.
And they move the ball very well. And they have a lot of guys that can pass. Ingram is a solid passer. LeBron passes fantastic. Rondo's great. Ball is great. Even Lance Stevenson can pass, which is a very underrated part of his game. Portland got whatever they wanted inside on them. They could score, and they would hit them with the threes outside. I didn't think defensively on the perimeter they were bad in this game. I just was like, damn, anybody could score on them inside.
And it's still early, but I mean, Cleveland, we sort of
Cleveland
thought that
was awful defensively
but
last
we
year.
sort of thought that they would get it together because LeBron and all that stuff. And then
I think they will.
after a while, that never happened. With the Lakers,
this team is more talented.
Yeah. And but I agree. These are the problems. It's really early, but these are the problems that we figured they would have.
You can add shooters. They'll figure out more stuff with their spacing.
Yeah, when you trade for LeBron the player, you also get LeBron the GM.
There were but there were things I liked seeing out of them that I think people maybe undervaluing with that team, and I think LeBron can lift them up. And I'm with you. I think LeBron can win the MVP this year. I would also say I like your picking Kawhi Leonard as a dark horse. I like Anthony Davis. I think those guys should be in the mix. Anthony Davis came out and balled in the first game, and that New Orleans front court looks really good. I know it's one game. I'm not trying to go crazy with the stuff. Let's check this back in a month as we watch more stuff on League Pass, and we'll see. Who do you like? Who do you think could win Coach of the Year?
Oh, come back to me. You got one?
You know who's been? I thought I would have given
Luke Walton.
No, I was gonna give it to Luke Walton.
Oh wait. I think you're gonna go with the same one. Go ahead.
The person I would have given a vote for last year that I didn't was Quinn Snyder on the Jazz.
Yes.
I like the Jazz. I'm very high on the Jazz. I think he'll finally get his due. I think they may crack over 50 wins again this year. I think he's a really good coach. He's brought a really good system.
Agreed.
Another example of a coach who the team stuck with after 2 losing years and still gave him an extension because they believed in him and his ability in the culture, and he's done a good job.
I'm rolling with Quinn Snyder.
I think Quinn Snyder, man, is my favorite. I mean, Brad Stevens might get it if the Celtics run away with the East, but yeah.
Amin El Hassan on Lebatar's show said that he thinks the Jazz could be the 2nd seed in the West.
I think they could.
And we've talked about that with Howard Beck, and we were like, yo, and like I love the thought of Golden State versus Utah in the playoffs. I like that. Yeah.
I like it.
So what else we got? Sixth man of the year?
Sixth man of the year.
I got to dig a little bit deeper into this, but Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench for the Nets.
He's got a shot.
The first game, he had like, I don't remember the exact stat line, something like 25 points, 6 assists, something like that. He took D'Angelo Russell's minutes in crunch time. D'Angelo Russell was benched in the fourth quarter.
I just think the best person that can score off the bench in the NBA right now that like I trust is like an instant microwave is still Lou Williams.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to give him.
Fantasy!
And so
I got both of them.
And fantasy. Nice. So I like him off the bench. It's hard, and Eric Gordon will always get his minutes and numbers. It's guys who can get minutes and put up those numbers, so I like it. But Spencer's definitely got a shot.
But you know what? Fred VanVleet didn't put up crazy numbers, and he got votes last year.
Yeah, like third. He finished third.
I'm not sleeping on Lonzo Ball. Potentially having very good production off the bench where you see games where he's having like 10, 7, and 9.
I can see that.
You know what I'm saying?
And that team's going to run. That team can run the Lakers. We talked about that.
That's somebody that Lonzo Ball, he's somebody that I've thought about. Spencer Dinwiddie is somebody who I've objectively thought about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I think he's got a legit shot at it. Rookie of the year?
Kevin Knox if they keep him there also.
Yeah. Rookies is hard to forget that award. But
Rookie of the year, Luka Doncic.
I think so too.
Luka Doncic.
I just think he's the best player. I've said that before. All you guys, teams are going to regret that they passed on him. I've been saying it. I've been saying it again. The guy does a lot of things well. He can shoot the ball. He's heady. He can pass the ball. The Mavericks are going to love him. It allows them to play Dennis Smith Jr. where he's actually better off the ball.
Yes.
I also said that too last year, and all you guys wanted the Knicks to take Dennis Smith Jr. to be the point guard. I'm not saying Dennis Smith Jr. is bad. I'm saying he's better off the ball. It's going to help Dennis Smith Jr. Doncic is really good. DeAndre Ayton will get enough touches and numbers on a very bad Suns team that I think will help him be up there as well too. I'm intrigued to see how and so will Marvin Bagley. He'll get a lot of touches and numbers too. But I think the best rookie is going to be Doncic.
Most improved? Do you have one? I feel like I got to think more about this. But I do think I legitimately believe that. I believe Nets players when they tell me Karis LeVert's going to make that jump. The first game of the season, 27 points, matches a career high. I'm like, I know it's the first game, but look, he's somebody who, all right, I'll tell you this, because we had our Nets Daily Roundtable, right? So with Karis LeVert, he averaged 12 points, roughly 4 assists last year, about 3-something rebounds. I have him this year up to like 17-something points, probably like 5-6 assists.
That kind of will get you looks in that award.
And over 2 steals a game. You know what I mean? I think it's 6 assists and 5 rebounds, something like that.
I'm going to say also, too, on the team, if Spencer Dinwiddie continues or improves on a little bit, what he had in the first half of last year, that could happen. I'd look at him. I'd also watch out in the leadership role Tobias Harris on the Clippers. I can see his game taking a little bit more of a jump. I like Tobias Harris. He's steadily improved each year. The three-point percentage has gotten better. Now he'll be asked to do a little bit more with Doc in the system, and he's kind of like, they don't really have a guy there in the Clippers, but he kind of could be that guy. Wouldn't shock me if he averaged 20 or 21 this year. It's not a huge jump, and it's not the jump that you really like to see, but I could see that happening for him. I could see that too. I also want to tell people, don't sleep on the improvement that you see from Frank Ntilikina in putting together a more all-around game this year.
Not a lot of Knicks fans with that take. I will also throw Brandon Ingram's name out there, too.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
He might, because, with LeBron there, I know he's a favorite right now, but
I think he's kind of my favorite. I think we're making the jump.
Probably mine, too.
He can still get to the basket really easily. He passes very well. He's the person I think is going to benefit like the most out of LeBron. I'm very high on Ingram. I've been high on him since out the draft. We'll see. I think it's good. So that's kind of our awards. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the NBA season. I'm just happy basketball is back.
Yeah.
I don't know how good the Knicks are going to be. Basketball is back. And, hopefully soon we'll have some more rivalry, some beef in basketball to bring it full circle to this episode.
Yeah.
We need some more beef back in basketball. So it's very early, but I'm very excited into what this season is going to be.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need the league pass when I take some more trips to Florida and places around. I'll be watching basketball whenever I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well,
NBA basketball.
NBA basketball, the purest basketball there is. All right, that's a wrap for episode 47. We want to remind you, as always, definitely please support us. You want to support us, you can hit us up with Patreon. Become a Patreon subscriber. We'll have extra content for you on this. We want to thank you guys for your support. We also now have a survey that we've put out. We put in this episode that we have out a survey, and some of you guys have already filled it out. We put it out on Twitter. It's a very brief survey. It gives us feedback on what you guys like about the podcast, what we can do in the future.
It's in the bio of our Instagram page at AHTT Podcast.
Yep.
It leads you to surveymonkey.com. The survey is there, and it takes literally like 1 minute.
It also will be in the notes of the episode of this show. Wherever you are consuming this, you can find that too. So just please give us your feedback. We greatly help it. Greatly helps us in what we want to do. So that's a wrap for this episode, number 47, the Andre Karolinko, AK-47, full of violence and beef. Is exactly what this episode was. He's Bryan Fonseca. I'm Dexter Henry. Until next time, peace, y'all.